Hello and welcome to GCS Today here on Channel 21, the program that brings you news and information from Gaston County Schools. I'm Todd Higgins. On today's episode, we talk with Belmont Central music teacher James Robinson about his nomination for the North Carolina Beginning Teacher of the Year Award. Plus, we find out from South Point's Melissa Glover what it is like to be a leader for the North Carolina Music Educators Association. Joining me on GCS Today is James Robinson. He is the music teacher at Belmont Central Elementary School. Mr. Robinson, it is great to have you with us.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Now, you are the Gaston County nominee for the North Carolina Beginning Teacher of the Year Award, and that is an award presented by the North Carolina Center for the Advancement of Teaching, and teachers are nominated for the award based on their dedication, innovation, and ability to inspire students to achieve. So congratulations on being the nominee for Gaston County Schools.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So let's begin by going into your classroom. What is it like to be in Mr. Robinson's music class?
Any of my students can tell you I really like to have fun. I like to try and build some personal relationships with them. I want them to be safe and supported, but also I want them to just experience music and enjoy everything that music has to offer them, whether that's through performing or just learning about what they like on the radio.
So with your students, what is something that you hope your students learn about music? What do you want them to take away from your class when it comes to music?
With the pandemic, my viewpoint on this has changed a lot. I want them to learn what they want to know about. So yes, we have a state curriculum, and yes, we have a Gaston County curriculum, and that's what I follow. But I also really enjoy it when they say, what kind of flute does Lizzo play, or something off the wall? It's music related. And to me, I'm like, well, is that relevant to these standards? But it's relevant to them. It's something they want to know. Or the National Anthem. Every time someone does the National Anthem, it's different. It's never the same. Even though it's written down, everyone's version of it's never the same. So I've had class discussions on why we do different arrangements and why we do the National Anthem differently. So really I try to take what they're interested in and let them kind of guide their curriculum for right now, just because it's very different with the changes.
And I think at the elementary age, you are really trying to help them gain an interest in music, give them some exposure to music. And I bet that you probably feel that your role is one where you are encouraging them to stay involved in music when they go to middle school and on to high school.
Yeah, so I would like for them to be instrumentalists and vocalists and things like that. But more so than that, I want them to find something in music that they can use in their life and that they can appreciate if they choose not to do music. I know when I was in school, you could do carpentry or you could do band. You couldn't do both. But if a student chooses carpentry, that's great. I still would like for them to be able to appreciate the music they hear and have those types of emotions toward music that are positive.
Okay, so you graduated from Limestone University in Gaffney with your degree in music education. So tell us what brought you to Gaston County and Belmont Central Elementary.
So it's actually an interesting story for me. I applied to a different school in Gaston County. I applied, I think it was H.H. Bean, and went in for the interview, went great, went home, got a call 2 days later. You're not a good fit for our school. Okay, that's okay. But then she followed up with, well, I'm going to send your stuff to the Miss Murphy, who runs the elementary specialists and pre-K, because I really liked your portfolio.Maybe you'll fit with another school. And then within the next week, I was interviewing and accepting the job at Belmont Central. I didn't even know where Belmont was. I didn't even know where the school was or anything. But by the end of that workday week, when we finally had open house and I met some of the people and, I got to know some of the kids just by them walking by, I knew that I was in a good place.
Well, we certainly are glad that you found your home at Belmont Central. And uh, I know that music has been a very important part of your life. Talk about how music has influenced your life.
Music gave me a chance to find some type of relief or escape. Um, and uh, I mean, elementary music for me was not good. Nothing against my teachers or anything. It just wasn't interesting to me. And then in middle school, I got really into band because that was the one class in middle school that I felt confident in myself. I felt a lot of self-confidence in band. And I made a lot of mistakes. I wasn't the best trombone player, tuba player, percussionist. I wasn't. But my directors never cut me down. They always helped me grow. And middle school is hard. If there's any middle schoolers seeing this, it really does get better. Middle school does not last forever, I promise. But yeah, so that was kind of when I knew I wanted to become something with music. I didn't know if it was teaching or just a listener or what, but I knew that music was going to be a pretty important part of my life.
So let's talk a little bit. You mentioned the pandemic. Let's talk about how the pandemic has changed your approach to music education and discuss some of the ways that you are still achieving success with your students despite the challenges that have been presented because of the pandemic.
So my instruction, I mentioned a little bit before, we're moving away from performing as much to, the admin used the word appreciation, music appreciation or music theory type stuff. So I have split it kind of between the younger group and the older group. The younger group, we learn how to find music in our everyday lives, whether it be the rhythm of someone's speech or walking or your heartbeat, keeping a steady beat, things like that. That way they can sort of understand that music is all around them and it's something to be noticed. And then with the older kids, we did more of a composition using like a digital audio workstation type thing where they can create their own music and write their own music, but incorporating more of those 21st century literacy skills like technology literacy and stuff like that. And success, I think at this point, is sort of shifted away from being something that I get to determine for the student. And I know that sounds weird or crazy, but I give them the tools that they need. I give them the abilities that they need, and then they create a product that they're proud of. So to me, I may not like a song that someone has made, but to them, if they follow the guidelines that they've been given, time limits or instrument limits or whatever that may be, and they create something that they feel is a quality product that they're proud to turn in, then that's great. But they've determined kind of what their success is going to be with that. And as long as they can back it up with, their opinions, and that's all I look for.
I think that you probably can find success or take a little bit of pride in what you're doing as you continue to serve at Belmont Central. And then as your students go on to Belmont Middle and then eventually would reach South Point High School, and the music teachers and band directors and course instructors there will appreciate what you've done at the elementary level to instill that love of music among your students. And I think that any teacher takes delight in seeing that aha moment in a music classroom when students engage and they get it, and the light comes on when they find something they really enjoy.
Well, there's a really funny story, and I'll try to tell it quickly so we don't take up too much time. But it was the first 9 weeks I was in third grade, and we were doing this program where we were writing our own backing tracks for whatever song we could think of. And one of the students, his dad's actually our ITF here, he wrote this thing out, and then he cut his drums off in the middle. And he comes up, he says, "Mr. Robinson, I don't know why this doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good to me. I don't know what to do." And I said, "Oh, well, you know what? I have a music degree. I'm going to tell you to put drums all the way through, because I have the student loan debt that says I can tell you to do that." And he went and sat down, and then he raised his hand. He goes, "Mr. Robinson, I'm not going to do that. I think you're wrong." And I'm like, "I'm wrong? Excuse me?" And then he played what he did, where he did what he wanted to do, and then he played it back, and it was so much better than what I had told him to do. He ended up changing the drums in the second half, so the little piano solo in the middle made sense. It blew my mind. I like immediately emailed his parents and was like, "Oh my gosh, this kid like completely put me in my place." So it was very interesting to kind of let go of what I want them to learn and let them explore what they think sounds good to them.
I think that is a great example of how music really is about discovery. Okay, I want to talk with you about some of your favorites. And so let's start. What is your favorite song?
Um, okay, so I really, really like Colors of the Wind from Pocahontas. Like Alan Menken is a great composer. Um, but I think Colors of the Wind fits into almost every part of our life, and especially in teaching, where it says, how high does a sycamore grow? And if you cut it down, you'll never know. Well, how much can our students achieve if we're a positive influence? Like we'll never know if we cut them down and squash it. So but if I was going to steer away from Disney, no copyright intended, probably Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, Billy Joel, not too bad. So,
Okay. All right, another favorite. Who is your favorite singer?
well, myself. No, uh, I really like Aretha Franklin, young Aretha Franklin. Old Aretha Franklin's good too. Sam and Dave, that's not one, that's like a group. I really like Sam and Dave. And then Billy Joel is really awesome.
Okay, your favorite instrument?
Ooh, so I like to play percussion and piano. I like to pretend to play piano. I wish I'd practice more. But the instrument I love to hear the most is the French horn. Like any, Dvorak Symphony, Mahler, Tchaikovsky, American Overture by Joseph Jenkins. Like the French horn is awesome, and my wife actually plays French horn, and it makes me so jealous because I wish that I played well.
Let's talk about music education and why you believe students need music education.
So recently, and I didn't look it up, so if anyone out there wants to email me as a fact check, that's fine. But music education was deemed something that was uh, part of Common Core, or part of the standard curriculum for students. And really, music just is a integral part of society in general. Um, it can develop abilities. It can shape people's characters. Uh, it helps develop coping skills. It develops empathy. Um, it can help with critical thinking, which then transfers into problem solving and different things like that. It helps kids with discipline and craftsmanship. Don't turn in something that's you're not proud of. Turn in something that's quality that you would be happy to do, and that transfers to all other parts of life. And but the skills are great, but music itself and the ability to take it in and appreciate it is just all part of the human experience. It's no different than you need to read to be successful. You need to be able to do math to be successful. You need to understand your past to be successful. Music's a part of that too. Music is a integral part of the human experience itself, and kids need to have that.
And so, as a beginning teacher, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're in your second year as a
Yes.
teacher.
Yes.
So, as a beginning teacher, what is your hope for your students?
I hope that whatever course they take, whether they play an instrument, they sing, or they just listen, whatever they do, that they find something with music that brings them joy, or maybe helps them through sorrows or something, or makes them laugh or cry. Just something that they can take with them that will help them grow and develop to the people that they were always destined to be.
James Robinson, the music teacher at Belmont Central Elementary and Gaston County's nominee for the North Carolina Beginning Teacher of the Year Award. Again, Mr. Robinson, congratulations on that recognition, and we appreciate you being with us here on GCS Today.
Thank you so much.
You are watching GCS Today here on Channel 21. We will be right back.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
Joining me on GCS Today is Melissa Glover. She is the choral director at South Point High School. Ms. Glover, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Higgins.
Okay, tell us about your leadership position with the North Carolina Music Educators Association. You are serving as the Music Performance Adjudication Chairperson for high school choral programs. What does this leadership opportunity involve?
Thank you. Yes, the North Carolina Music Educators Association is our governing body for all of the music educators across North Carolina. We have a high school section, and I'm going to be serving on the board of the high school section. And the high school section, they coordinate all of the events across the state for the North Carolina Music Educators, specifically in the high school choral section. I'm going to be tasked with coordinating all of the MPAs across the state. And MPA is our big competition each year. That's where we go for our assessment. It's kind of like our end of course testing. Our students go and they sing for 3 adjudicators. They get a score, they get a rating, they participate in sight reading, and it's a way for us to evaluate our progress with our chorus students. So it's a huge opportunity for our kids. The last about 15 years, I've helped with our local MPA, which usually takes place in Gastonia. There are about 8 counties that come to Gastonia and go through this process. So now I'm serving as the state representative who will coordinate both the large ensembles and the small ensembles across the state. So it's really exciting because I'll be able to network with people across the state, line up adjudicators, handle the financial obligations and all of that for the entire state. So I'm very, very honored to serve the entire state as the music performance assessment chair.
Well, it sounds like a wonderful leadership opportunity, and it sounds like it will be a lot of work, and we all know that they have the right person in that position. So congratulations on that opportunity. And I can remember back to my high school band days, we all called that our contest. You went to band contest, and
you're exactly right. And it's kind of one of the culminating parts of our entire year. We work for that all year. And it's a way just for us to assess where we are and get feedback from people other than the chorus teachers. So it's a wonderful opportunity and such an important opportunity for our students and our teachers to have our colleagues evaluate us and tell us how we can be better so that we can provide better music instruction for our students.
Now, we know that everyone is looking forward to the day when the pandemic is over and music education returns to normal. I know that you probably are, as well as your students.
Definitely.
Let's talk about how you have navigated the pandemic in your classroom while still providing positive experiences for your students.
Well, as a choral music educator, it is always my number one priority, whether it's a pandemic or not, to provide a safe and caring atmosphere and environment for my students. We try to build a family. We have a place where they can relieve themselves of stress. And so regardless of if there's a pandemic or not, that's always my goal. But with there being a pandemic and things being a little bit different, it's become more important than ever to focus on the students' well-being, their mental well-being, to check in with them to see how they're doing. So we focused a lot on dealing with stress, and because they use music as their outlet, and that is how they cope the stresses in their life. So we've focused a lot on stress, and we've just had to be a little more creative with how we deliver that instruction. So we've been using different percussion instruments, and different ways to reach these kids. So it's been very successful, though we are very, very excited to be singing and look forward to those opportunities to get back traveling and participating in festivals.
Let's talk a little bit about your career as a music educator. Who or what inspired your career as a music educator?
I've had some wonderful music teachers throughout my career. I was fortunate while I was a student at South Point to sing with Dr. Weta Schatz, and she took me to New York as a 10th grader, and I had never seen anything quite like that. Got to go to a Broadway show, and it changed my life. So she was incredibly tough on us. She had high expectations, and she got so much out of us, and she provided a place for me to belong while I was in high school, and that was so important to my development. While I was in college, I had great professors who kind of refined my musical skills and provided me with leadership opportunities. Dr. Joel Reed and Dr. Robin Gardner were two of those people. Really took me under their wing and showed me how to care about students and make those connections so that they're successful.
Did you know that you always wanted to be a music teacher?
About halfway through high school, I thought I would be an elementary school music teacher. It wasn't until I got to college and really got into the choral music in the choir that I sang with Dr. Reed. And he opened my eyes to a lot of experiences and a lot of music. And that's when I kind of decided to go the choral music route versus the elementary. But I've always enjoyed working with children, and I've always enjoyed teaching. And when I was in high school, I was involved with teaching Sunday school and different things like that. So I've always enjoyed being around children. So definitely always thought I'd be a teacher.
So you are homegrown in Gaston County schools, having graduated from South Point in 1997. Then you went on to Mars Hill College, where you received your degree, and then came back to South Point. So what is it like to be a teacher at your high school alma mater?
Well, I was very blessed to go to South Point as a student, and I had awesome and amazing teachers who had high expectations of me. And now I'm very blessed to work at a school that has awesome teachers that really care about kids. So the teachers have changed since I've been here, but the expectation and the standard of excellence has not changed. It's a great place to be. It's a great place to be a student. We have a very supportive administration and great faculty, and just so many awesome things going on at South Point. So I'm very blessed to work here.
Let's think back to the time you first stepped into your classroom as a teacher to today. And what changes have you noticed in teaching chorus compared to 20 years ago?
There are so many things that are exactly the same. A lot of the songs that we sing are still the same. I would say the biggest difference is the technology piece. I remember as a first-year teacher getting kids ready for All County and making rehearsal tracks for them on cassette tapes. And I was super excited to have a cassette tape dubber so that I could dub more than one cassette tape at a time. And now we don't have to do that. We can record the part one time and we can get it out to people very, very quickly. So in a lot of ways, our jobs have become a lot easier as far as the time required with, getting parts learned and things like that. In YouTube, there's so many resources out there so people can listen to concerts from across the world at the touch of their fingertips. And that didn't exist when I first started teaching. So the kids have more access to high quality choral music, and that makes a huge difference in trying to get the correct sound out of them. Your
students probably would say, Miss Glover, what is a cassette tape?
They definitely would. They would be making fun of me. They would be like, what is that? We might have to break those out.
This month is Music in Our Schools month, and we are bringing attention to the importance of music education. Why do you believe it's important for high school students to be involved in music?
Well, I think it's important for high school students to find a place to belong and a place, a reason to come to school, a person who cares about them, a place to belong, And so music does that for so many of our kids. They get opportunities in music to refine skills that they're going to use the rest of their lives. They're going to have to work with other people. That's what we do in chorus. We're all working towards the same goal. In choral music, you have to think about more than one thing at a time. You have to think about tempo. You have to think about dynamics. You have to think about the shape of your vowels. And that teamwork is essential for our students when they get into the workplace or when they go to college. And so it's really, really important that they develop those thinking skills. And so this is an opportunity to do that in a very supportive environment and gives them a chance to find a place to belong as well.
And I think some of those same qualities that you've mentioned there, you find those across the fine arts, whether it's in choral music or it's in band or it's art or theater, whatever it may be. You really understand how important it is to have that fine arts experience for students.
Absolutely. And it opens your eyes to so many things about the world, because we study different pieces from different cultures. And it's the same is true of the fine arts, or of all the fine arts, of the visual arts, performing arts. And it just opens students' eyes to what's outside of Gaston County, what's outside of North Carolina. And that also gets them ready for the real world and their future jobs and future careers. Very important.
And I think you would agree with me when I say you won't find a better fine arts program than what you have in Gaston County schools.
I agree 100%. We have very, very strong bands, very, very strong choral programs. We are very blessed in Gaston County with very strong opportunities for our students. It starts at the elementary school level. We have some awesome elementary school teachers as well.
So let's talk about lessons learned. I know that you teach a lot of lessons to your students. What are some of the lessons that they have taught to you?
Well, this year especially, they have taught me just how resilient they are, because their worlds are drastically different than they were a year ago. And they have taught me perseverance, that they're still coming. They're still giving it their all, even when things get difficult. But I think probably the most important lesson that my students have taught me is that it's important every single day that we have fun and we laugh, and that we don't take ourselves too seriously, because life's too short for all of that. And I think we've all learned through the pandemic that, we don't take opportunities for granted, and we never know, what's going to happen next or how many opportunities we have. So we have to make the most of each and every day and live them to their fullest.
So thinking about your students, when they leave your classroom, what is the one thing that you hope that they gain from being in your classroom?
I hope that they gain the knowledge and the understanding that somebody believes in them and believes that they can accomplish whatever they set their minds to. It won't always be easy for them to accomplish those goals, and they're going to have to work hard for those goals, and they're going to have to overcome obstacles. But there is someone who believes in them and knows that they can accomplish whatever they set their minds to.
Melissa Glover, the choral director at South Point High School. Again, congratulations on your leadership position with the North Carolina Music Educators Association. And we want to say how much we appreciate you taking time to be with us here today on GCS Today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Higgins.
Thank you for watching GCS Today here on Channel 21. Before we go, we would like to recognize Sydney Lester and Grace Nearing of South Point High School, Marshall Pearson of Highland School of Technology, and Jacob Wooten of Stuart W. Kramer High School. They have advanced to the final round of the National Merit Scholarship Competition. And we would like to congratulate Takaya Moore of Bessemer City High School, who earned the Chancellor Scholarship from Appalachian State University. The highly competitive full tuition scholarship is awarded to only 10 students who were chosen from a pool of 14,000 applicants. Stay tuned to Channel 21 for the latest news and information from Gaston County Schools. For GCS Today, I'm Todd Higgins. We look forward to seeing you next time.